Stop! TikTokers, how's this beauty? So when I was getting harassed by the corrupt members of Victoria Police and Victorian government, and like what they would do is make threats, like or they'd follow me around and make false accusations like shoplifter, that guy's a shoplifter. Haven't had a shoplifting conviction or charge for years, and even then when I did, it was only to feed myself when I was homeless, literally. And the last shoplifting conviction I ever had was, I kid you not, I was on parole, home, just off the streets, working my butt off, riding back forth, trying my level best, covered in diesel. This was right when the Victorian system got just destroyed and parole started. Parole breached me for literally just because Adrian Bailey worked his magic, and their system got embarrassed, and I was busting my hump for an engine reconditioning thing, in, out. And during that time, I was living in a rooming house above a hotel, just getting by, riding a small bike to get to my work, where I'd work as many shifts as I could. Then I'd have to leave there early. The boss wasn't happy with it. Get to my parole appointment, like it was full on, riding in the rain on this little scooter, just full, trying my hardest to get out. And then the system broke me. And what happened was Adrian Bailey embarrassed the system, which, as it turns out, has not changed one bit. Not one bit. And I'm at work doing nothing, literally doing absolutely nothing. I was at work, and the boss comes and goes, "Oh, the local constabulary are here for you." Hey? And it was a return to custody order, I kid you not. And the only thing I had was, on my way home, I had accidentally left a tub of Gelner vanilla yogurt. This is true as I'm talking to you here. Gelner vanilla yogurt in my rush. It was raining. I'd left Gelner vanilla yogurt in my helmet and something else which I can't remember, and walked out. Well, an overzealous Paul Blart mall cop came running out. "Right, you've stolen something. I didn't want to take off anything. I was, okay, whatever. It was $13.90 worth of food I'd accidentally left in my helmet as I was shopping in a rush. The police charged me with it. I ended up getting returned to custody, losing the house, losing my motorbike, my little scooter, losing my job, losing everything I'd worked towards, and trying to pick myself up out of the gutter. This was before the system broke me due to their incompetence. And I'm busting my ass. I was literally, when they arrested me, I was head to toe in grease. Bottom rung of an engine reconditioning shop. Just full, after being the manager and whatnot of automotive spare parts shop, state sales manager of automotive spare parts companies, I had to have the ego denting pride denter to start at the bottom. No problem, I got to do it. I made a mistake, I'll dig my way out. Until the Victorian system, because their own incompetence, had other ideas. So anyway, that shoplifting charge ended up, I kid you not, the magistrate ended up throwing it out with no conviction and sending me downstairs to get $250 worth of Coles vouchers. But the damage by the overzealous police and the overzealous Paul Blart Mall cop, combined with the incompetence of the Victorian law and order system, which saw the murder of Jill Ma, the damage was done. That was literally, once I got out from that, my hands threw in the air, and I went off the rails for about 4 years. I was like, why, why bother? I broke my balls on that occasion. I was busting my hump as just a middle-aged white guy just trying to drag his way back out of the gutter he had fallen into, and the Victorian government, just through their own incompetence, their own mismanagement, their inability to follow processes, saw that happen. 100% I had some anger issues towards all things Victorian law and order, corrections, drug rehabs, council, the whole, anything to do with it. I called it for what it was. During that stage, right, let's turn this into a longer one. During that stage, what the good people of the Victorian law and order system, who may as well have killed Jill Maher themselves, what they did was they created a situation that saw if you were homeless, no money, whatnot, and had to rely on the Victorian prison system for housing, you would be forced to serve your entire prison sentence and get out with no parole. So basically you saw people getting punished because the Victorian Parole Board, after getting embarrassed because they killed Jill Maher, after getting embarrassed killing a citizen, an innocent person of the Victoria due to their incompetence, saw the best answer was just to deny anybody parole that could not provide their own address. So what did that lead to? That led to people like bikies, drug dealers and gangsters who financially could afford to get their own address, but may have had terrible prison behaviour, getting paroled at their earliest occasion, while a person who was financially less off, couldn't afford, had no support mechanisms, no place to go to, and was relying on the Victorian government for the housing, serving an extra, in my case it was an extra 10 months. In one person I know of, he ended up serving an extra 3 years. And he was just a perfectly well-behaved, low-rating inmate who just was misfortunate enough he wasn't even a criminal type. He literally was just a person who struggled with alcohol and drugs, had a car accident that killed his beloved wife, which he pined over every single day of that sentence. So he wasn't even a criminal-minded type. And the Victorian system punished him, made him do 3 more years than he would have done had he been a bikie or a rich drug dealer or something. They would have let him out at his first available then. But because he was falling on the Victorian government, the Victorian Corrections Victoria, for an address, they made him do 3 whole years. Now, the kicker in all that, ladies and gentlemen, because there's obviously other people who require housing, right? What the kicker in all that is that eventually they're going to release the person to exactly the same housing, right? Just without the support mechanisms in place. Now, what person in a higher office, unless you're a bitter, petty-minded, hateful person who was trying to punish the inmates for your getting embarrassed, what person would come up with that as a model? Where you're going to just, hang on a minute, we've got these support networks in place, paroles and corrections orders and whatnot. But here we had a situation, because they were incompetent and mismanaged and got embarrassed, they wanted to take it out on the inmates, because that's the culture that exists at Corrections Victoria, with the Brendan Munnings and the Jan Shuards and the Seleskis. They're bitter as 2 lemons, mate. They're just horrible people. So their answer was to take it out on the inmates through punishing them but it was the most ridiculous thing you could imagine, because what they're doing, and then they wonder how come we're getting 30 cents in the dollar value for the taxpayers' money? I wonder why that is. Do you reckon it could be our bitter, petty-minded mismanagement of the corrective services industry? Like, why do you think, hey, Mr. Munnings, why do you think we're only getting 30 cents in the dollar value for, like, why do you think we get such a high recidivist rate? What's that, support networks? What do you mean? Oh, well, that's not our job anyway. Oh, we just got to lock the bastards up. That's not our concern. And that was literally the pettiness that we were dealing with. How ridiculous is that? Through your own mismanagement, you end up getting embarrassed, killing an innocent member of the public, and then your answer to that is to throw further fuel on the fire that is the crime problems in Victoria. And 12 years after that, we've got the worst crime stats in record. Gee, couldn't see that coming, could we, Mr. Selesky? Oh, Mr. Savari, can you get Mr. Munnings and try and work out why? Actually, you might want to get Patton involved too, right? Get Patton and Cheeseman. Can we all come together and work out, like, why we've just set the worst crime stats on record? Can you do that? Yeah, that might... Like, literally, they're the most petty, mismanaged, dodgy, often corrupt law and order system in Australia, and it shows. And that is why Victoria, ladies and gentlemen, sets year in, year out, worst crime stats year in, year out, because those dinosaurs in the higher offices of Victoria Police, Corrections Victoria, the magistrate papases are all about protecting their own self-interests, protecting their own jobs, and not about serving and protecting the public, which is what they're supposed to be doing. Speak soon, guys.